Hi, my name is Lilia Voberg, and today we're going to be looking at mass media bias in politics. Let's go ahead and start by looking at America's current trust in the media. Americans' trust in the media has slowly been dropping over time, but the 2016 election campaign could be the biggest reason their trust has dramatically dropped this year. Art Swift, who is a managing editor at the Gallup Polling, published an article in the fall of 2016 in which he shared that Americans' overall trust in the media is at an all-time low of 32%, and that Republicans who trust in the media has dropped from 32% in 2015 to 14% in 2016. Many Republicans and conservative activists claim that Hillary Clinton has received nothing short of positive media coverage, while Donald Trump has received negative media coverage. I think it's clear that much of the overall decline has been mainly from Republicans. Perhaps it's due to Donald's outspoken criticism of the media during the 2016 presidential campaign. However, America's trust in the media hasn't always been this low. A survey conducted by General Social Surveyors in which the survey began in 1973 and ended in 2008, and it shows us that there was a steady drop of trust from 1976 to 2008. In 1976, the level of trust was about 55%. By the end of the survey in 2008, it had dropped to about 35%. I believe the biggest reason we are seeing a rapid decline in America's overall trust in the media is because the news media has become more partisan as time has gone on. According to Chuck Stearns in his book Mass Media Revolution, ever since major news sources have started 24/7 coverage, news has become more opinionated and less factual. In the past, news sources were limited, which meant the coverage was limited. This made very little room for bias. Now, let's go ahead and look at some specific examples of mass media bias in politics. In 2015, the Huffington Post published an article expressing they would not be covering Donald Trump in the political section, but that they would be covering him in the entertainment section along with the Kardashians. They went on to explain why by stating that Donald isn't running a campaign, but a sideshow. In Chapter 10 of Mass Media Revolution, Chuck Stearns talks about the different types of bias and how the news tends to become biased, whether it's intentional or not. One type of bias is partisan bias, which involves a blatant statement with an explicit endorsement of which party to vote for. I believe this article is a perfect example of partisan bias. The Huffington Post did not have legitimate grounds for their actions, which makes it clearly biased against Trump, thus giving the upper hand to his opponent. After reading the article of the Huffington Post published, it made me very hesitant to even view them as a valid source. I believe this article completely discredited the Huffington Post. They did not have any actual justification for making such a bold statement, and I think that it hurt them. It shows they are not fair and balanced, but they are driven by emotional thinking. Now, we're going to discuss the mainstream media and how it was against Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential election. The mainstream media, it's easy to tell by simply Googling Donald Trump's name that he is not liked by the mainstream media. They do not have a very high opinion of the man whatsoever. However, this fact can be backed by a poll conducted by the Suffolk University /USA Today, which shows us that the American public thought the media wanted Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton to win by an almost 10-to-1 margin. This poll mirrors an Associated Press /GKF poll showing 56% of likely voters, including 87% of Donald Trump's supporters, believe the media is against him. Now, after reviewing different polls and researching Donald Trump more in depth, it has occurred to me that the media can simply not be trusted. I've always been a little hesitant to believe anything I'd see on the news. But after observing the 2016 presidential campaign, I become ever so wary of the media. There are many reasons why the media cannot be trusted. 1. Money dictates the content the mainstream media shares. For example, ABC News had an article that stated that Hillary Clinton spent 53 times as much money as Donald Trump did on ads. This shows, well, at least in my opinion, that Hillary Clinton bought the media's favor. Another reason why the media simply cannot be trusted is because bad news sells while good news is monitored and censored. What I mean by this is if the media can't find dirt on a candidate, then they will take a little story they've heard and they will make it worse to make more money. Or they will exaggerate the story. Or they will literally make up a story that isn't even true. So, this leads me to a question. Is mass media a worthy career pursuit? You may be surprised by my answer, but I would say yes. There is no denying that the world we are living in today has experienced an explosion in communication technology and media. As a result, there are many job opportunities in mass media. More than ever, we are needing people to rise to the challenge of accurately reporting the news. In today's day and age, media plays a large role in society, which means we need people to fill those roles. But not just anyone. We need people who are willing to report the truth, not just the stuff that sells. One of the biggest benefits of pursuing a career in the mass media is there is a very diverse selection of jobs within mass media, such as newspapers and magazines, television and broadcasting, film and video production, advertising and public relations, and of course the music and photography industry. These are all different aspects that make up mass media in our world. In Chapter 16 of Mass Media Revolution, Stearns talks about how it requires a strong drive and long-term commitment to work in these fields, but that it's the challenge of the work that makes media careers so fascinating. In conclusion, I would like to challenge you listeners to research and fact-check anything you read or hear in the media. Be willing to find your own answers and rise to the challenge of working in the mass media. We are privileged to live in a world where we have access to so much information, and we have the responsibility to learn how to interpret that information the correct way. And with that, I thank you.